The gold Krugerrand is a South African coin first minted in July of 1967 to help market South African gold. Produced by the Rand Refinery, the world's largest integrated single-site precious metals refining and smelting complex, and the South African Mint, responsible for minting all coins of South African rand on behalf of its owner, the South African Reserve Bank. The rand is the currency of South Africa. The coin's name is a compound of Paul Kruger, the former president of the South African Republic, depicted on the obverse, and rand, the South African unit of currency. On the reverse side of the Krugerrand is a pronking springbok, the South African national animal. By 1980, the Krugerrand accounted for more than 90% of the global gold coin market and was the number one choice for investors buying gold. However, during the 1980s and the 90s, the Krugerrand fell out of favour as some Western countries forbade imports of the Krugerrand because of its association with the apartheid government of South Africa, and there was a general boycotting of South African producers and services in protest against apartheid, in support of the African National Congress and the trade union movement of South Africa's call for such a boycott. Most of these sanctions were removed in 1991 after the South African government took steps to end its apartheid policies. Over 50 million ounces of gold Krugerrand coins have been sold since production started in 1967. During the bull market in gold of the 1970s, the gold Krugerrand quickly became the primary choice of gold investors worldwide. Between 1974 and 1985, it is estimated that 22 million gold Krugerrand coins were imported into the United States alone. This huge success for the Krugerrand encouraged other gold-producing countries to mint and issued gold bullion coins of their own, including the Canadian gold maple leaf in 1979, the Australian Nugget in 1987, the Chinese Gold Panda in 1982, the American Gold Eagle in 1986, and the British Britannia coin in 1987. Although gold Krugerrand coins have no face value, they are considered legal tender in South Africa by the South African Reserve Bank. In 2017, the Rand Refinery began minting silver versions with the same overall design as the gold coin. 1980, the Krugerrand accounted for 90% of the global gold coin market. In that year, the South African introduced 3 smaller coins containing a half, a quarter, and a 1/10 troy ounce. The Krugerrand is 1 troy ounce of fine gold, although it is 1.09 troy ounces in total weight. Its mass is 33.93 grams. Its diameter is 32.77 millimeters. That's 1.28 of an inch. Its thickness is 2.84 millimeters. 0.11 inches. Its composition is gold is 91.97% and 8.33% copper. That makes it 22 karat gold as opposed to 24 karat gold, and its original year of mint was 1967. So even though it is not 99.9%. It's not 3 or 4 carat, 3 nines or 4 nines gold. It does contain a 1 whole troy ounce of gold, but it's 22 rather than 24 carat gold because of that extra inclusion of copper at 8.33%, which makes it more resistant as it was meant to be handled. And that's similar to the American Gold Eagle, which is also 22 karat gold and contains 91.67% gold and 5.3% copper, so it's slightly higher percentage of gold, but the point is they both have the whole troy ounce of gold. And similar to, at one point, the British Gold Britannia was also only 22 karat gold, where it was 91.67% gold and 8.33% copper. Again, these little extra bits of copper provided a bit more of a rose color and made them more durable. Now back to the Krugerrand. It's named, as we say, after Paul Kruger, who was a president of the South African Republic. He's not a nice guy when we look back over his history, but he was certainly a very interesting guy. He was one of the dominant political and military figures in 19th century South Africa and state president of the South African Republic, or Transvaal, from 1883 to 1990. He lived from 1825 to 1904. He was nicknamed Uncle Paul. He came to international prominence as the face of the cause of the Boers. That was those who fought for the Free State of Orange against the British during the Second Boer War from 1899 to 1902. He's being called the personification of the Afrikanerdom, and is himself a tragic folk hero. Kruger was already an accomplished frontiersman, a horseman, and a guerrilla fighter. He's an outbackman hero in many senses of folklore. In addition to his native Dutch, he could speak basic English and several Afrikaans languages, some fluently. He had shot a lion for his first time when he was a boy. In old age, we recalled being 14. He had meningitis, suggests he had been as young as 11. During his many hunting excursions, Kruger was nearly killed on several occasions. In 1845, while he was hunting a rhinoceros along the Stillport River, his 4-bore elephant gun exploded in his hand and blew off most of his left thumb. Kruger wrapped the wound in his handkerchief and retreated to the camp, where he treated with turpentine. He refused calls to have the hand amputated by the doctor and instead cut off the remains of the injured thumb himself with a pocket knife. When gangrenous marks appeared on his arm up to his shoulder, he replaced the handkerchief in the stomach of a fresh killed goat, a traditional Boer remedy. He considered this a success. When it came to the turn of the second goat by hand he had earlier in his danger much himself, the wound took more than 6 months to heal, but he did not wait for long to start hunting again. He's certainly an eccentric man, but he also was a racist certainly behind the beginnings of racial segregation in South Africa, and is, whilst an historic man for South Africa and for the white South Africans fighting against British, what was their occupation against the Boers, certainly was part of the apartheid beginnings. So that's the history of the Krugerrand.